Today is my share for the Bringing Back Basic Gray collaboration, and so I pulled out two older Basic Gray collections and thought we would make some scrapbook layouts together.
This is a small collaboration I do with Sarah, who's Craftin' Relaxing here on YouTube, Kathy, who's Stampin' Cat on Instagram, where we just bring out our Basic Gray paper and enjoy. For Basic Gray this month, I pulled out Fact and Fiction. It's two collections I had in my stash, and they had kind of bold school, either bold colors or school themed patterns. And I decided that I was going to, since the paper is going back to like 2000, probably 10-ish, I decided to throw it back with 2016 pictures. This is Ellie's first day of kindergarten. So while the papers are double-sided, they were thinner than the other Basic Gray double-sided papers that I've worked with. And so I decided I wanted as much of the pattern as I could, and so I just decided to trim a little bit off each edge. I just did a 1/4 inch off of top and side, just so that, you could see the black matting behind it, and then the black cardstock just added some structure to the base page. I picked two coordinating patterns just because there were only one of each pattern in this collection I picked up at a thrift store, and so I don't know, I haven't paid attention if some of it was already gone. But it seemed to be consistent that there was one of each pattern, and these collections coordinated really well together because those two patterns, I think one came from each collection. They weren't both from the same collection. I have a lot of pictures. This is Ellie's layout. I have a lot of pictures to cram on here, and I had an idea of how I wanted the pictures, but it's those extra things like her name strip that I wasn't sure where I wanted to put it, especially since there was that heart kind of in the middle on the left side. I wanted to leave that there. I didn't want to cover it up. So I struggled trying to figure out where I wanted to put her name strip so that it flowed and wouldn't block that heart. So the right side of this layout will be kind of jam-packed with pictures. So at least I did leave I wanted to leave the right side of that right side of the layout picture free, since it did have the pattern strips that were printed on that paper already. I wanted to leave those showing just for some extra details. So this will be a fairly busy layout, so I don't end up adding a ton of embellishments, but it was kind of necessary with so many. I think there were like 11 photos if you count like the name strip and then the picture of that letter on the top of this page. So just trying to kind of get a feel for this page as well before I go ahead and adhere everything down to it. I did trim my pictures down from the 4x6. I made them a little bit skinnier. I think they're 3.5 inches wide, because I was worried before I figured out this layout. I was worried that they weren't all going to fit really well. So after I get that photo of the letter on, I decided I wanted to bring in some more color on that left hand side of that left page of the layout. And so there was a pattern in there that was kind of like a red herringbone-ish pattern that matched a pattern on the right side. And so I wanted it on that left hand page, but I wanted it to go across the middle. So of course I did this after I had adhered all of my photos down. But luckily I hadn't pressed the photos down. I adhered them, but I hadn't actually kind of pressed down. And so with ATG, you have little time that you can lift them up and then stick them back down again. And then I decided I want something. I have a title I found in my stash. I wanted something else behind it. So I found a ledger pattern and wanted to put it behind my first day of school title there, and went and found the largest circle die I had to cut that circle so it would fit behind the pattern. So I just decided to overlap it off that red a little bit. And then this title, I found some school embellishments in my stash where the colors kind of worked with these two Basic Gray collections. And since the Basic Grey collections didn't have any embellishments, so I was glad I found these. So just doing some kind of quick embellishments that I know I want to use off the sticker sheet before I set it aside. And then I'm going to add the date on this page underneath her first day of school. And I decide that while I wanted that giant circle, now I needed to do something to the top of it because that bothered me, that it was just too much ledger showing there at the top. So I wanted to balance it out a little bit. So I found some stars that I thought would work. And then this is a preschool pack, but it had crayons, and crayons are a staple for younger elementary schools. So I pulled out the crayon set and then found a glue and an eraser and decided to group those together on this page as well. And there is foam adhesive on the back of all of those, but they've been in my stash for a while, so I wanted to add some glue just to make sure they stick. On this page, I want to add my journaling. So I bring in that ledger paper that I used on the left side, and I'm just trimming one piece to fit there so that you can still see some of the patterns behind it, but I needed some space to journal. So I did my journaling and then wanted to note that there's the picture of Avery, a couple pictures of Avery just kind of looking sad or confused. And she was very sad that Ellie was leaving her during the day. And so I just wanted to note that she was going to miss Ellie when Ellie went off to school. And then I also wanted to note that picture on the far right where she's passed out on the bed. That was like, I think she started school on Thursday, and that was Friday, like right after an early dinner. She just passed out. She was exhausted. So I thought about adding another strip at the bottom to talk about that, and then just decided I can add that quick thought over to the right of the picture. Now that all of my journaling is done, I'm just seeing if there's any other embellishments that I want to add to kind of spice the page up a little bit. So I add some right there to my journaling, and then I'm done. So this next layout is going to be for my album, and I have less pictures this time around. And I normally, when I make layouts for me and my girls' album, I try to do them as similarly as I can, just so that I'm not, kind of reinventing the wheel every time. But there was only one of each pattern, and I had a different number of pictures for every layout, so I kind of had to do different pages for each spread. So found some other bold colored patterns here. There was that yellow notebook that I really liked that would be great for journaling, and so I brought in some red and green just because I knew my stickers and embellishments were red and green. And since I only had one of each pattern, I was having to make them work across both pages of that layout. That strip there, I wanted to kind of make it look like a notebook of some sort, so I didn't have a notebook punch, a border punch that made it look like a notebook. So I just took a circle punched some circles at the top, and then cut in between, like that little strip at the top. I just cut, and just to make it look like you tore it out of a wire bound notebook of some sort. So I realized I wanted a little bit bigger gap there, and then I wanted a more angled tear at the bottom, so had to fix that. And then you'll find I really struggle with where I want that yellow strip. I knew I wanted it, but I wasn't sure where it should go. I decided to add some detail to my pattern paper here. I did a fishtail on the green, and then just rounded the top corner of my red dot there. Adhere that down. And then we'll add my green strip. And then I can get my photos back on there. So I'm kind of doing something similar to the last one where I kind of stair step down from the middle. So I did keep that consistent between the layouts, but just because I had a different number of pictures, you know, the photo layout was going to be different for each. So I go ahead and add adhesive to all of my photos, and I wanted to get that one placed so that it wasn't, I didn't want it to stick over the top of the red dot for some reason. So now you can, it's just like almost right at the top edge. So this side, I do the same thing with the top outer corner of my red dot pattern. And I pull my first page back over, because even though once you put them in the album, you know, they're in the separate sleeves, you put them in the album, they're not going to be like right next to each other like this. But I did want it to somewhat line up with both pages. Didn't want it to be like totally off kilter, you know. So I did try and line it up a little bit, at least that red dot pattern. And my green strip. And then I'm going to struggle with this yellow strip. I had originally planned on putting it right up next to the red dot, but then it was too far over. There was like too much black space. It just didn't seem balanced to me if I scooted it all the way over. I'm going to go ahead and put these photos down and then struggle. I didn't like the black space in between the yellow and the red dot either. So I fiddle. I've cut out a lot of the time that I fiddled. And so I was like, well, maybe I can put some of that paper in between. And I'm like, ooh, here's a strip. I don't know that I love it, but it fills the space with some extra pattern and color, kind of ties all the colors together. And so I went with it. So I don't know. What would you guys have done? Would you have left the black space in between the red dot and the yellow? Would you have just gone with more of the black space to the left? Or would you have found something to fill it to? I don't know. Just, I cut out so much time in this video of me just trying to figure out where the heck to place that yellow strip. So now that I have that down, I can add my last photo here and we can all move on with our lives. And I wanted to add my title on that yellow strip. So I had another embellishment that said first day of school. So I pulled it out and I had another sticker that said kindergarten. So I did like be kind of consistent with that. I'm going to glue my title piece there down and then kind of layer in that apple that says kindergarten. And then I'm going to do my journaling on this page. I'm going to add, since this is my page, I'm going to note that it's Ellie's first day of school. And then we'll do my journaling underneath my title there. And I noted about how Avery was going to miss Ellie on this layout as well. And now I'm going to come in and embellish. I had that apple frame die cut that I knew I didn't want to use as a frame, so I just tucked it in behind a photo there. And I'm just going back through some of my sticker sheets, trying to find things that would work. So pulling out a few things, trying to create some groupings. And some of these sticker sheets some of these embellishments are like super old. Like that letter sheet right there is probably from the early 2000s as well. So finally figure out what I want to do on that left-hand side with my little pencil, and then just add a few more things here and there. And then I'm going to come in and make sure everything is pressed down really well. Anything that needs glue, add it. And then I believe, yeah, see that one, the foam didn't even stick. So gotta add some glue to my apple. And then we are all done with this layout.
Okay, well, I have finished all of my layouts and I made this set with you and this set with you. And then I did end up making a third page for Avery kind of off camera because I cheated. There was a page that had kind of already a collage effect. So like this polka dot pattern and these layers, that was all printed on the page. And so I decided to go the easy route and use that. I just did it the same way as the other ones where I kind of trimmed off, since it's thinner paper, I trimmed off like 1/4 inch from two ends, and then that way it was just matted with black, and then came in and just embellished. So this one was super quick and easy compared to these other ones because I had less pictures to work with and my layers were already on there. So that is my share for Basic Grey. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, please be sure to check out the links for Sarah and Kathy in the description box below. And if you have Basic Grey papers just sitting in your stash, being saved for that special day, make this that special day, pull them out and play along with us and have some fun with your Basic Grey pattern papers. Thank you guys so very much for your time today, and hope you all have a very crafty day.